So you do have to wonder. So you do have to ask yourself, is it possible?
And I say, yes.
Ancient action figure prophecies foretold.
Is it indeed possible?
And you have to ask yourself, is it possible that an all-new ancient action figure has been discovered? And with all the ancient action figure theorists around the world and in other worlds lane and across the universe and other dimensions, right now en route, swarming in to get to some kind of queue or at that event in Japan for celebration, that there's going to be a very limited amount for this one ring or figure to rule them all. And I think that this is appropriate because I've never done this about me when I'm live, but you have to wonder also, is this what they call me?
The wizard.
Dude, man. Last night I almost lost it because I pulled it up and I just completely lost it, especially when you consider that it's not the same damn head sculpt, which changes the game a little bit for me. But Lane, how are you doing on this fine day, perhaps the day of the most rarest ancient action figure unveiling of all time? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. All I'm going to say is the man himself, Brother Cousins, he had to go live last night. I caught that. I caught the pictures going up like literally within 30 seconds of when just randomly that they were posted. So I had spammed it to about 6 or 7 different people, including you. Like within seconds of them, he went up for one of the pictures, and everybody's like, "What the heck is this?" But it was pointed out by Brother Cousins, and I'm sure some of the carryover audience that you'll have between your channel and his, that he swore you mentioned that there would be an Artisan DarkSide Anakin, like me. He's like 2 to 3 years ago. Aries was either on my show or something like that you had foretold, like the Nostradamus of 1/6 collectibles that you are. I mean, as I assume was foretold to you by the Hot Toys Wizard, with maybe a cheat sheet sent to him by the Wizard in the sky, that DarkSide Anakin one day would rise. And also, as we'll probably look at with the actual naming of this figure, is that Howie's being a little bit cheeky with the title there. Leaving that door open that we'll probably talk about a little bit today.
Well,
what else could be in the future?
And I didn't catch Brother Cousins Jay's stream. Maybe he'll be able to chime in on here, or I sent him a link. Maybe he'll jump in later. But you know, I also and I appreciate that because I did call this, you know, and I did get messages from people going back, gosh, 18 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. But the other thing that I did as well, and Elaine, I'm pretty sure you remember because I think you're on a live show with me. I said I'm pretty sure that in order to distinguish this from the original San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, that they're going to call him Darth Vader. Because I never understood this DarkSide Anakin. Because this guy right here said, henceforth you shall be known as Darth Vader, as I fill that table. 66, baby.
Good.
Right there. Right there. He didn't say henceforth you shall be known as DarkSide. Anakin. He said, you shall be known as Darth.
Good.
I will say, in that scene, Hayden I was not sure if he was supposed to be kind of like in turmoil or having constipation with some of his facial expressions there.
Well,
like I'm not sure which one. Like that's the only moment of one of his facial expressions. I'm kind of wondering to this day, what was George telling him? Like, this is supposed to be your inspiration as you're reacting to this. That's his only facial expression. I go, I'm glad that's not the facial expression on any of the Anakin figures that we've got.
no, you're right, buddy. But if you're looking for constipation, just have some of this with these guys right here.
You're delicious.
Ciao, boys.
Well, all I'm going to say is if you're trying to, on the secondary market, get both of these recent Anakin releases, your wallet is going to be feeling extreme constipation because it's going to be logged through, or your credit card, one or the other.
I am telling you, what I really thought they were going to call it Darth Vader, which really distinguishes it and separates it from that San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Secondly, he really is Darth Vader, not DarkSide Anakin, like DarkSide Rey. So in my opinion, it's almost like the right correct name to call him. But honestly, dude, I mean, I was just blown away by this, and I'm going to go ahead and just real quickly before
we got 100 people in here,
before we get in here, let me read this out to everybody in the chat, and I'll say hi to you all. Keep posting it in there. You are with a very special edition of the Market Show Live. I've got my buddy here, Lane Kramer. We may have some guests later on in the show, but it's too big for me not to go live. Again, I've been calling this for a while. I feel like I did get it right that they were going to do this. I feel like I also got a double right that they called him Darth Vader, but honestly, they should have done that whether I called it or not because it's the right name. But let me go ahead and read this on here. From Hot Toys last night. Anakin Skywalker is a Jedi Knight turned Sith Lord, used to be an apprentice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, blah, blah, blah. We all know the drill. Eventually took the name Darth Vader. Right. That's why you should call him Darth Vader. Anyway, it goes down. It says, we know that Anakin is a must-have for your Star Wars 6-scale collection. Well, you should have made more than freaking, 2,500 pieces. What are they thinking? But today's Darth Vader trademark Sith Apprentice, in particular an Artisan edition, and as Sith Apprentice goes 2 steps further to upgrade your Star Wars display. Again, for just some of us, we have the most anticipated figure ever. Now, notice that they say this, Lane, the most anticipated figure ever. And how many of these are they making, Lane?
2,500, man.
Okay, that is the most anticipated figure ever, which is going to bring me to my point later that this is going to be the most expensive figure in the history of collecting. Okay, it may even beat the final Cape Chowa. Let me continually go here. Exquisitely crafted, featuring separate rolling eyeballs, the all-new Darth Vader Sith Apprentice head sculpt is designed with wool hair implantation and painted with authentic makeup to illustrate his Sith appearance, Lane. And it says here the wool hair on Darth Vader allows for intricate curly hair to be recreated in a realistic representation, enhancing the overall head sculpt likeness to well, replicating the texture of human hair when examined closely. Blah, 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 blah. Anakin's makeup, all that other jazz, LED light up. I want to get to this point here. It says an exclusive Japan edition version that comes with an additional special box sleeve limited to 1,500 units is available in Japan. So that's what it says there. 1,500 just available in Japan. You and I were talking about this offline. And Hot Toys exclusive version. So usually a Hot Toys exclusive version usually goes to Sideshow. I mean, this, it'll be or some of it anyway, limited to 1,000 units is available in selected channels, certainly part of that, or all of it, or part of it at least, is going to be for a sideshow. But that's the news. That's their little write-up here, Lane, on what we're about to talk about.
It's a Chat GPT masterpiece.
Yes, it's a Chat GPT masterpiece. But here's what I want to focus on with this. It says, further to upgrade your Star Wars display with the most anticipated figure ever. And they only give you 2,500 pieces, Lane, for the most anticipated figure ever. Let me give Howard Chad, who's sitting at table 66, a shout out here.
I'm sure there were many people who pictured Howard Chan laughing maniacally like that. Like, what are you doing? We'll discuss that probably a little bit with the numbering and stuff.
Here you go, collectors. The most anticipated figure in the history of humankind.
But you can't get it. You can't get it.
And here's my message to
yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Just morphs into Emperor Palpatine as he's letting you know.
And we've got to go ahead and say hi to some of the people that are freaking in here as we go ahead and we talk about all of this. But before we do, Mr. Lane, I think it is very appropriate that we go ahead and play the intro. Let's go ahead and dive into all of this. Let's go ahead and dive into the most anticipated figure, as Howard has put it, of all time.
People are in the grip of the Aries Tarrington show twice in 1 week. What more could they have been seeking?
Let's dive into it together later. Right now.
You cut me off right when I was evil emperor, really horrible laughing there.
Oh, I'm sure you could do better than this, though, Lane.
The throaty, guttural, evil laugh is something Ian McDermott cornered the market
on. Well, listen, welcome everyone to another episode of the Market Show live right here at the 6 Scale Cantina. And just in case you don't know just who I am the Dark Jedi, Aries Tarrington, about to serve up all the talk about the most anticipated figure, according to Hot Toys, of all time, limited to just 2,500 pieces. I'm going to serve it up along with my compadre here, the Mr. Lane Kramer. And, Lane, again, I want to point out with this before we start saying hi to people in the chat with this Hot Toys post that, it says here, again, I'm going to just read this. We know that Anakin Skywalker is a must-have for your Star Wars 6-scale collection, but today's Darth Vader, Sith Apprentice, in particular, in Artisan Edition, and as Sith Apprentice, goes 2 steps further to upgrade your Star Wars display with the most anticipated figure ever.
I just like there's one.
That's what they say. Aries didn't say it. You didn't say it. That's what they said.
I know. the one thing in this whole discussion I find kind of hilarious that they point out, because it's not something you would have thought of necessarily, is they make sure to point out, you know, they have Anakin's makeup, so they let you know, hey, guess what? We were accurate with putting makeup around his eyeballs to make them look more sinister. I'm like, why would you point that out? That you like, hey, we made sure to say you can see the makeup they put on his face back in the movie 20 years ago to make him look more evil. But you know, this is. I'm caught between this, because like it's still until you actually see something announced, you never know. You know, you can say, hey, it's reasonable to assume we would have, you know, this figure get announced because their history would lend to it. Oh, hey, thank you there, sir.
Oh yeah, thank you so much there, Mr. Jared ESQ, with the $1.99 $2 super sticker. Let's leave it up there for a second. I think that you know, unlike Howard, I'm not gonna be like, you know, doing this because you gave me a super.
Well, Aries, if
I'm going to give you at least more than 2,500 seconds instead of 2,500 pieces. And I can at the very least give you this, my friend, guys.
Aries, where would you have been if that scene had not been in the original Top Gun?
I would just be doing this with Grogu.
but
remember, Grogu's at table 5, baby. He's always with Popsick. He's always with its Popsick on table 5. We have not forgotten. You know,
say, this doesn't feel though completely out of left field, and I would just say what this feels like. It shouldn't. Totally surprised if you're surprised by this. Let's not forget we had kind of a similar scenario from Hot Toys with this kind of similar thing already last year when you had the Imposter Joker come with Artisan, and then you had the regular release Joker. You know, this is very similar because now obviously Joker had completely different suits, but they were reusing some kind of Batman suit, whatever was the mold they used.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they have done this guy as an exclusive limited release, that tracks even just within like less than a year that they've done that, which is good because you have both Jokers, if I remember correctly. Correct?
I have the artist. I have the DX Artisan Joker. The Heath Ledger. Oh, you're talking about the Batman Imposter?
Yeah, this is similar kind of to that whole thing.
Yeah, I was able to sell that one because I got
okay. But you had owned it at one point.
I owned that one at one point. Yeah, I mean the DX one, Heath Ledger Joker from the movie, is the one that's very special to my heart with that film. So that one's staying here. But I didn't need the extra Batman Imposter one, you know, for me. I don't need it like I need this DarkSide Anakin. We'll get into.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, this kind of fits because they were able to reuse a lot of another release they recently had. Mm-hmm. But obviously, in the same way, kind of between the regular Artisan Joker and the Imposter Joker, there were some differences even with the head sculpts and the hair and stuff between them to make them. Leaving out the costumes. I mean, the big thing for these is the Artisan head sculpts. Like that's the biggest thing, or else you would just get one of the older Anakins from Revenge of the Sith. Mm-hmm. But there are, as we'll talk about, not huge differences necessarily, but there are some differences between these Anakins that helps at least distinguish the two versions. So if you get one or the other, there's at least a little bit of enough difference where it doesn't feel like you're stacking the same character twice.
Well, and Lane, that was one of the big things we're talking about backstage that was gigantic for me, is the fact that this head, you have teeth on that. This head sculpt is a little bit different. And what it's showing me is that the tooling that Hot Toys is using for these head sculpts, you know, it can be manipulated a little bit. There's some expense, I would think, in any R&D, but probably not as much from scratch. So that is very, very interesting. So I think I want to get into that, you know, with you here, because how important is it that it's different? And I'll be honest with you, as we thank Jared again and welcome in here. We're going to say hi to everybody and welcome in here Durance as well. Awesome to have you in here. Kevin Collectibles is in here as well. Good to have Kevin Collectibles in the house. Yeah, it will be impossible to add. That's what we've been talking about, Kevin, right with you. And as we go to other chats here, Lane, one of the things is, how important is it for you? I'll tell you my opinion, that the head sculpt is different. And I will tell you, for me, it is so important. I am so glad it's slightly different, because it actually it gives me a reason to really want to get this, because I'm an Anakin freak, like I am a Luke freak, and need all the Lukes. So this is going to be really, really good for me. But honestly, also for the value of the original Anakin, which is the one in most of the movie, it's not the same head sculpt, Lane. It's not the same as the Anakin that's out now, which actually went up even more since this announcement. And I'll show you that a little bit later, which is having an adverse effect. But these Anakins played like that in the past. But what is your opinion on this being different, Lane, from you? For me, I love it. Is it good for you?
No, I think it fits. I mean, I know it's technically, the same character, but this one has a different name. I mean, it's not how we obviously traditionally think of Darth Vader, but this is like Darth Vader versus Anakin Skywalker. I think having a slightly different head sculpt and I'm putting different name, I'm putting in quotes because that's kind of his title. I think having some distinguishing, and if this was a general release and they were doing this and they just had the original head sculpt, and like say it was sculpted version or something, which might play it into a point I have a little bit later after we discuss this one a little bit for about future. I'm glad they did it slight. It's not a huge difference, but having a little slight variation, I think, is good for collectors. If this was a general release, I would have said, it could have been kind of the same.
Right.
But because this is another limited one, because Hot Toy Strategy is exclusive limited releases around big events, that seems to be kind of what they're going with right now.
Yep, for sure.
I think that having it be a little different,
it's not as lazy. It's not like not a lazy kit bash. Like, no offense to that Obi-Wan Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian Obi-Wan. Yeah, that was
because it is good, but this is not as lazy. This is pretty pretty surprising to me.
And this is the perfect figure to do that onto. We're doing a little bit different, do it a little bit different, but not, because they're still putting time and effort, because it's their art, it's their artisan thing. So this one has probably the same time and effort. That's why this could be partially why the original Anakin got delayed a little bit, took so long to actually get released, because they were having to make these at the same time, getting those ready to go. But it's also not totally wet. It's not like the Imposter Joker where it's a completely different look or something, which might take away a little bit from it being almost too different.
No, he looks badass in this, though. Yeah, man, I'll be honest with you. It looks pretty.
But having him in the same costume and stuff, I know some people are like, well,
yeah.
I think being in the same his same general look, same uniform, same outfit, that's good, because it's not like if he was in some, I don't know, concept robe that they were designing that was totally different than his final
It doesn't
robes.
force you to get it, but it's different enough where it makes sense to get it, right?
Yeah. But if you don't get it and you have like the original, you're not going to be depressed. If you have the original one, you're going to be very happy, because it still, like you were saying, it still has its own uniqueness that makes it its own figure at the end.
Well, I think the thing that's going to really, the FOMO on this is going to be, I'm going to be completely honest with you, they're not calling it DarkSide Anakin. I know it seems like a very, very small thing, to be completely honest with you, but the fact that they're calling this, Lane, at everybody in the chat, Darth Vader, it's very hard for some Iron Man collectors to not have certain Iron Man figures. It's very difficult for some Spider-Man fans not to have certain variations of Spider-Man. And it's going to be very difficult for many Star Wars fans that where this is very important to them, that this is the uncrispy version of the Dark Lord of the Sith. This
So
is
that'll
Darth
be
Vader, and
so that-
there's none of them left.
What you're saying is the next release, the general release, is going to be barbecue Anakin, as he's like laying like with table where he'll be sitting there, and you can have attachable robo legs that are under.
Oh,
armor and stuff.
that's why the other Vader is starting to have at least in one of them a low stock remaining warning. But the power of this figure in the secondary market is going to be
You underestimate my power.
Well, it tells me just the power of Anakin / Hayden version of this character. And like, obviously, because some of now people who are watch the prequels and stuff, this is who they know, because you got to see basically the man inside the mask, kind of, and you have the original trilogy to see what the monster he became. Hayden Anakin has become such a way now where you can present both versions of the character through this is one of the things from Disney Star Wars I think it's good, is like where we got, we had that Kenobi Vader where we got to see at least some of Hayden Anakin, him actually inside that armor a little, more than just like the 5 seconds or whatever in Revenge of the Sith. But also now you've got these versions of him, and even though it's kind of a mythos version, that battle damaged one where there's full Hayden head sculpt, where you get to see kind of young, because Anakin's pretty young when he becomes he's in his mid-20s or so, early 20s when he becomes Darth Vader and gets scarred up. So we're getting to see young, everybody thinks he's like 80 years old or something, 50 years old. He's only, he's younger when he dies in Revenge of the Sith. He's young. He's supposed to, I think,
he's young.
Dies. He's only in his mid-40s. He's not young, but he's not super old.
Yeah.
Either.
I mean, here he is. Here he is again, right here.
You underestimate my power.
But we're for both versions of him and on his journey now, Hot Toys is like providing us where you're getting to see more of Hayden Christensen's version of the character in all the phases of his existence.
Absolutely.
To the thing. So I think that this helps fill a void. Like this is kind of the ultimate. Would you probably agree? Maybe even though I look at this one kind of as a mythos concept kind of figure a little bit, since he comes with like his Darth Vader lightsaber, which he didn't get or make till after he was Mecha Vader. This is like the ultimate transition piece. If you're a big prequel fan, to like this is where he's becoming the monster. Like he's become kind of mentally the monster and everything that and force power wise the monster, but he's not he hasn't paid the price basically yet for becoming what we see him here as yet.
Well, and you bring up a good point, Land, and because I think that's what makes this figure so enticing is what it represents for Star Wars. That transition piece, that Anakin, Darth Vader before he becomes, as we know, Darth Vader. It's not a concept art like that mall that just came out. It's not even a comic book figure like the really cool Dark Empire Luke that's coming out. This is from one of the major films itself that really, as you said, bridges that gap, baby, to the Darth Vader we know today. And this literally is the very first look of Darth Vader. And again, with how I started this off, how you and I started the show off, with Hot Toys themselves saying that this is the most anticipated figure ever, you do have to ask yourself, why? Why just 2,500 pieces? I'll be honest with you. They could have made 12,500 pieces of this, and they probably would all go, look, 6,000 of the, the Black Widow, the Scarlett Johansson figure, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. They were all gone. How long before The Dark Lord of the Sith with this would be gone with 6,000 pieces, would have been gone in less than an hour, in my view. So I think you bring up a great point. And again, that's why it's important. And the fact that they actually did celebrate it and put it out with a slightly different head sculpt where it shows the teeth, it's a little bit meaner, it has a little bit of that different makeup.
The eyeshadow, the eyeshadow
And the eyeshadow, it's a different head sculpt. And again, for it being an exclusive piece, that's another good point. Those are some of the good things that they did here, Lane.
It's really the number that they did, though. I think
it's the number, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Let's say hi to some of the other folks. I think we said hi to Gerance and Kevin Collectibles and Jared with the super chat. And let ask your questions in here. You guys are all and gals watching the market show live. We got 75 in here. Gosh, go ahead and smash that like button right now as you type in your questions. Ask Aries anything about this figure that you want. And you kind of know where I'm going to lead into this with some breadcrumbs that this figure leads to. Ask Lane anything that you want. And we will, while you're doing that, smash the like button. But let's go ahead and say hi to Pedro. Hello back at you, my friend. Good to see you here. Clone Trooper in the house. Let's go. Eric Henke is in here. Darth Vader. Our wallets. I know, dude.
Our wallets are getting Admiral Modi, man.
Admiral Modi. The Clone Trooper says, is it possible that the 13th skull could smuggle ancient action figures through interdimensional portal? Well, the 13th skull, I mean, how many of these, when it used to be us, never going to happen, has the 13th skull provided from this, from the
Clone Trooper might be forgetting to add it. He might. And could you set that dimensional portal so that one or two of these accidentally are set right to his closet? That's the other thing he probably means on there too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's go ahead and say hi to Sean. What's going on with you, my friend? Big Rib, what's up to you? Good. Sean Rodriguez, the Sith Apprentice Vader is awesome. Will look great next to the light side Anakin. I know, for sure.
I don't know. There needs to be a serial number that anybody who's already got that Artisan Anakin coming needs to have an automatic ban from trying to get this figure.
Valiant, I agree. Hello there, back at you. And Valkyrie, what is going on? Magnus, another official 6-scale Cantina, ancient action figure theorist, channel member. Good afternoon, back at you. If I don't get this, Noble Young says, Lane, if I don't get this, I'm looking for your Tesla. Lane, I guess you have a Tesla, huh?
No, I do not. I definitely do not have a Tesla, especially because those trucks are good at on their own catching on fire.
Right here, Sean Rodriguez. How has nobody realized that 1,000 is for each selected market? It's very interesting. Let's talk about this. How has nobody realized that 1,000 is for each selected market? The only time Got Toys specified it was worldwide was the original Artisan Anakin. That's why he's so rare. Arlene, go ahead, comment on this, because I'm trying to see what he's talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, they just said 1,500 Japan and then 1,000 other markets, but we don't know exactly what those are yet. That's a big thing.
I would hope, Sean, that you're right. So you're saying Sideshow will have 1,000, and so will the other selected markets. So I think let's pull it back up. What do you say, Lane?
Yeah,
let's pull this back up from here and see if I can go ahead.
I think for how limited the original, because an exclusive like this, I don't think that this one should necessarily, because they already have the main one. I think this one should be more available than that other one, because there is, I'm not saying 6,000 like that Black Widow was or something. I think that's maybe too many total for an Artisan figure, but I think I agree. But the way this I read this. So if you want to read it up there again, it's exclusive Japan edition version. It comes with additional box lead. So that's the main difference. Limited to 1,500 units for Japan. Hot Toys exclusive are limited to 1,000 units. So I take that to mean there's only 1,000. Beyond that,
and it says a Hot Toys exclusive version. It doesn't say Hot Toys exclusive versions unless they made a mistake. Limited to 1,000 units. Is available in selected channels. I don't see where it's saying 1,000 units in each selected channel. I don't see that.
And what are the channels? Those are just in China. We don't know.
Yeah.
Or
that would be great if they're going to say 1,000 in Europe, 1,000 extra.
Yeah. Or like they said, like that means like, okay, if they just, I don't know, they were doing China, US, Europe 1,000, so 2,000 would go,
and then 4,500 units. That would be more. That still wouldn't be enough.
Yeah,
but I would think that would be better if that was the case. I just don't think that that's what they're going to do.
No,
I think it's a nice thought, Mr. Sean, but I don't think that is what they mean here. But
they could have done this. They could have done this very easily. Where obviously maybe not quite as exclusive as this, but they could. I think easily if they had done this number, 1,500 for Japan only, and if this number it's I don't know, if it was 3,000, it'd still be a little bit difficult. But I think they would still sell out of it. But also I think because other people have got the regular Artisan Anakin and stuff. And to be fair, the price for this one, according from at the event, from yen to the event, because it's 65,000 yen for the Japan version of that figure, that makes it $446 USD. So it's over. It is. Just
so it's more. So how much was a regular Anakin? Like
I think 410 or 415.
410 or 415. So this is a little bit more. Well, it does give you more of a base, doesn't it?
Yeah,
because that little we're going to get into. Well, Sean says, Lane, let's go. Aries pulled up my comment.
Yeah,
let's go, Sean. Listen, I'm a little slow to the take. I'm sure there's a lot of comments in here I got to get to and say hi to everybody, including this man. On the count of 3, because the big dog pound is in the house already laid. A 1,
a
2, 3, and woo! And listen, I gave a big woo yesterday with this heavy metal machine is in the house. Hi to you. He asks, can they even manufacture that many with the wool implantation hair? Well, apparently yes, because Lane, they did 3,000 with the Joker imposter version, and then they did 4,000 with the regular DX version, so that's 7. And then with the upcoming, I'm going to use her, bringing her up again, the Scarlett Johansson Black Widow. They're going to make 6,000 of that. So apparently, yes, they can make
we'll see
that many.
I'm still waiting on my Jack Sparrow.
Oh, that thing is
months ago, and that was put out months ago. And they told me it could be till June. The one thing for some, at least if we're going to get these, we might be waiting a while because we're probably still going to be the way, at least releasing wise, it seems like they're not kind of on the in-art train for doing smaller batches, but they're doing wool head sculpts and all that stuff, and that takes a while. That's a reality of it. And I think we rather take their time and get them to us without running into some of the problems that some of the individual figures have had if they step up the QC. I would think that's more important.
Well, smash the like button, everybody. We got close to 80 in here. Good to see you. We hardly started talking about this. We're still saying hi to everybody. Let's continue to do that. Good evening to you too, Maximum Flesh. Welcome into the house. Indiana Bones, what's going on, brother? Good to have you in here. I wonder if this one will release quickly, similar to the Imposter Joker. And I say, yes, this one's coming so quick, like the Imposter Joker. You're going to be able to get this right with this in Celebration, I believe. I am sure, Lane, that I've been checking all day today, Lane, to see if Sideshow, if there's any news. If anybody has any news when Sideshow is going to put this up or how many they're going to get, with their coming soon. I've been in there it'll be great to hear it. I wonder, Lane, if they would put it up now or if they would wait for Celebration the 18th and 19th and then put it up. I hope they wouldn't wait that long, but I guess it's not that far away. What is that, like
Next
9
week.
days? Should be
Yeah,
in a week or so. This should come up.
Well, yeah, because I don't think we'll see this pot. Now, I am kind of surprised that they haven't at least had, a placeholder like coming soon or something, because like the Vader, the Darth Maul, they all got one relatively. And this is the same kind of listing exclusive. Now, unless their Sideshow's already been told, there are none of these for the, American Western market, that they wouldn't put one up. But even then, they would probably still put up a coming soon.
Yeah. They'll put up the coming soon. So I feel like that's gonna happen any day. And Jared ESQ says, did I spill my coffee earlier this morning? And he says, yes, absolutely. This is exactly what I freaking did. Sure, for sure. And try to get to all these comments. I think it's extremely evil too, Ryan. I think this is extremely wicked looking. Good to have you in the house. MB Dyson in here, Lane, says this is the most anticipated figure ever. Therefore, we shall make him limited and not offer a sculpted version. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. You're exactly right. Again, Lane, I feel like this is the clip of the day.
Howie's trying to turn all the collect. See, Howie's trying to turn all the collectors into the exclusive side, so that they'll all line up in the queue system for like every release now, with figures like this or numbers.
Laid another six scale Cantina official ancient action figure theorist Eric Hankey, channel member, says, will Hot Toys make more than 1,000? Late, I'm going to let you. He's talking about outside of the 1,500. I'm going to let you answer that.
For this, I think it's just 1,000 for the rest of the world. However, I was going to probably mention this a little bit later, but this is kind of the opportunity for a question for more Anakins. Could relate to something else. I think it is possible that one of the reasons this is marked as Darth Vader Sith Apprentice. Now, this would not necessarily be another Artisan figure, but I think for episode 3, we could still get a DarkSide Anakin 2.0 that would use this new head sculpt with the, it's got all the modern stuff. It's got a redone head sculpt. It's got the eyes. I think it could be this head sculpt, but a sculpted hair version that's going to be for episode 3. And that would be a DarkSide, like that would be DarkSide Anakin 2.0. Wow. Now it would not. I don't think it would come with the. That's what I could see them doing, because I don't think we're going to get another Artisan version. I think there's the Artisan Anakin Light, and then there's this. But I think I think they specifically did not say DarkSide 2.0 because they could have just called this Artisan Anakin 2.0.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Eric, I think there could, and I've been in some groups discussing this, so I'm not going to say this is like my original idea or anything, but I think there's a good chance for Revenge of the Sith 20. That doesn't mean they are going to do this, because they might say we've had 2 Anakins come out this year. That's it. But I think maybe the best chance, like where you're not able to get this one, and where they can make more money, because people would be kind of amped up because they will have had 2 Artisan Anakins. I think it could make sense where, hey, guess what? You couldn't get this super limited run DarkSide Anakin, or you were not able to get that exclusive from a couple of years ago. But here's a DarkSide Anakin 2.0, one of the most popular figures within the last, half decade or something. New sculpt, redone complete hair.
They could
rolling eyeballs, with eyes, all that stuff.
Yeah, and you know what, Lane? Is it possible that that's the reason why we haven't gotten any sculpted versions?
Yeah,
of the, because think about it, we haven't with most of these other Artisans we have, but for some damn reason, With these, we haven't. And you have to wonder if this is what they
call him the Wizard.
And I mean,
seriously.
Yeah,
seriously.
But
I think you're onto something.
And maybe too much conspiracy theory, but if you were going to do another Anakin, because I mean, we have kind of like Obi-Wan, we have with this one now, we've had a lot of Anakins the last couple of years. We had that Clone Wars one, which used, the old Revenge of the Sith live action, it's called, just a few years ago. But this is a way to build that, because there are also people who don't want to spend $500 on a figure. But
you're gonna sorry, Lane. You're making. Listen, did you say $500 on?
You know what I mean for just a general thing. But think about it for a second. If they put out a skull, like they have everybody fired up for this in like less than a month, like May the 4th, there's a sculpted DarkSide Anakin using this updated head sculpt for like $315. Could you imagine how many people are going to jump on that? Like, 10, you're going to sell 10,000. And what? And we're going to say, and the other thing, a lot of longtime collectors are going to go, hey, Hot Toys, even if they've been planning this for years, there is going to be a lot of collectors who go psychologically, hey, we've been asking for a sculpted, or hey, you're giving us this character we really want a new version of because it has been so long. You're giving us a new head sculpt, rolling out like all the modern amenities with this guy, but in a price point where, it's like, and I'm putting in quotes, cheaper price, but like $300 version.
Yeah, because they're like almost like it's a way to kind of, prime that pre-order in a way to get people to have the itchy trigger fingers quick.
And then it could transfer, as some other chat been talking about, if they have an Artisan Obi-Wan or an Padme Amidala, if they had a higher end figure like that, where people, they might put that out, but if you don't have either one of these Anakins to put with them, that I'm not saying that would stop sale. There definitely would still sell a lot, but imagine if you had, if you had a new Anakin to put with that higher, little bit more higher level or exclusive Obi-Wan, that would help get people to want to commit to spending $420 on maybe a new Obi-Wan. Or, I mean, I don't know if I would actually want an Amidala for Revenge of the Sith, because I don't think any of her looks are particularly that good, like costume-wise or anything. But, that could help sell other figures too.
Oh, yeah.
As he's a new center point for a 20th anniversary. And if they're only going to do a couple, like they sometimes do, he feels like a good one to help sell a few other figures too. Or if they did a new Doku or whatever, that could help sell other stuff.
No, I think you're onto something here. And Eric, thank you so much for that comment. We got to continue to go and say hi to everybody in here. And you are all watching the Market Show live with the Dark Jedi and with Lane Kramer here. Go ahead and ask us anything you want about this figure. I know it's a lot of buzz right now, which is why I'm live. I'm not usually live on a Wednesday, but just like, when some of these crazy Star Wars figures get announced, especially this, the Dark Jedi is going to come live no matter what day of the week it is. And here I am tonight. So ask your questions in there. I'm going to get to the rest of the comments, so have patience. And while you're at it, putting in your comments, please go ahead and smash that like button. We've got 81 in there. Let's continue to say hi and get to these questions. Preston, what's going on? What's up? Right back at you, brother. Good to have you in here. And Good for Health is in here too, saying waiting on Light Side Annie from Sideshow. Yep, absolutely. Chris is in here. What's up, Chris? And says, hello all. Would love to buy, but only 1,000. The queue will be, I know, he has a point here. This queue is going to suck, Lane. This queue will be insane, but my wife and I will find. Listen, Chris, you not only need you and your wife, okay, but you need like your neighbor and your cat and your dog and your fish in your tank and your frogs and
If you got
whatever the
50
heck else you got.
If you got 50 employees in your like department of your company, you need to make sure everyone has a sideshow like thing open, and you'll be logged in on every one.
Well, and Sean says that a lot of people are going to do this despite what they say. He
Yeah.
says, I will bring this into my collection, whatever it takes. Wow, that is a powerful comment, and thank you for being truthful, because I'll be honest with you, I really think that a lot of people are going to react that way with this. To be completely honest with you, let's go ahead and fill you up on table
Coffee
two,
ready
baby.
there. Love it.
You know, that's breast milk.
That's what a lot of people in the queue are going to feel like after they see they get their number.
For sure. Going to more of these here. Look who's in the house.
Yep.
Katina, Aries, Wonder, Possible Coffee. Yes, Coffee, Grogu. Come on, my man. When, it's Boba Fett. And I don't know. What should I play? Maybe I should fill OG Fan up with Lane's favorite television show of all time.
I'm Boba Fett. I'm here to see the mayor.
Boba Fett. Do you have an appointment?
OG Fan, you never need an appointment to come in here, baby. Come on. Again, saying hi to the big dog pound. Woo! Come on. Continue to go to some of these comments. Gosh, I am so behind here, Lane, trying to get to all of these. Good for Health says panic. And Sean Rodriguez says he's 22 when he turns into Vader. So that's what we were talking about earlier. Collecting Madness is in the house. And what is going on, Collecting Madness? He says, if you love Anakin, give me a hell yeah. Collecting Madness, great collector. He's got a great channel too. So make sure you guys check him out on Instagram. He's always putting up good stuff. And on Facebook. And he's got a pretty good, awesome, good, incredibly good channel as well. So go look up Collecting Madness and subscribe to him. Good to have you in here. I think Collecting Madness too. You got the Anakin already, and I know that I think I saw some of your pictures and we were talking online. Congratulations to you. But how do you feel about this? I see a hell yeah. Are you getting this Collecting Madness? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Tell me if this is a yes or no. And like Sean Rodriguez, are you going to do whatever it takes to get this in the house? For sure. Very cool.
All I can say is probably a lot of people are going to be feeling just like that guy who was right at the ground zero point, right when the Death Star laser hit the ground.
All right. Well, Lane, let's talk about this, because what's up, Pedro? Welcome to the house. And I'm going to get to all your other comments in here. So everybody just keep typing away. And if I missed your comments, like, oh, Aries didn't put it up, just type it again. Because again, I'm just an old guy here trying to set the controls to the heart of the sun. That's really hard when you're constantly living on the dark side of the moon with all these ancient action figure theorists. But he says here, Lane, while this figure is not labeled Ahsoka Anakin, this version of Vader Ahsoka faced in the World Between Worlds scene, the red saber and all. No, it is. It is. So you do have to wonder, Lane, because he said no more Artisan's Aries. But could they throw? See, it looked a little more CGI in that one, in the one Pedro's talking about. Could they give you another one? I wouldn't put it past them, but your thoughts. You go.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I get what he means. That definitely has, but also Hayden was the older looking version of himself. That's why we have the Clone Wars one and everything. That is, coming out with the maybe not the best Hayden facial sculpt ever choice. But I mean, like I said, I think this guy this figure is kind of it's kind of its own thing, just like the battle damage Vader. It's kind of can be looked at as a mythos concept as kind of figure, or as part of Revenge of the Sith or whatever. And I can see what you mean with Ahsoka as well. I don't think you can apply it to one specific thing. It is a Darth Vader Sith apprentice from the Star Wars, mythology. I think would be the best way to look at it, because which is good too, because I mean, it just matters. It just matters at the end of the day. It's a really cool figure.
I can see that too, and I think it's possible though, Lane. I think that honestly, the way Hot Toys is going, I'm kind of leaning towards you that they're not. I feel like that this is it with the Artisan here. I don't think that they're manufacturing more, but I think it is possible. I wouldn't put it past them. Big Dog Pound asked, thank you for the comment, Pedro, and hello to you, and hello to everybody trying to say hi to you all. Is it dropping on Sideshow this week? Well, I think we were talking about that, Lane. I would expect it to. And it's either going to be up live when they offer it in Japan for Celebration the 18th or 19th, or at the very least get the Coming Soon up.
Yeah, I think this week, if we don't see the Coming Soon pop up this week, by Friday, I would that might give me, I would maybe start having a little pause, not concern, but I would have some pause about what's going on with this figure, because all the other were exclusive, whether they're end up coming out here or not, have at least got a Coming Soon for them. So if we don't see that something in the next few days, I'm gonna be like, what's going on with this?
Yeah,
me
too. Me too. So there you go, Big Dog Pound. Dubs the Great is in the house. What is going on? Faith in your new apprentice misplaced, baby. As is your faith in the dark side of the Force. Let's go. And OG fan says, I remember, Pepperidge Farm remembers, Ares called in episode 3 Darth Vader many years ago. Yeah, and I think I may have said that they would actually call him Darth Vader instead of DarkSide.
They call him the Wizard.
Love that one. You got to love it here, Lane. You got to love it. Continuing to go down with some of these comments. Sean Rodriguez says, calling it now. Artisan, Obi-Wan, or Padme on May 4th. You're making me play this again, bro.
They call him the Wizard.
Come on. There's a lot of people in here, Lane. And, I have to get to all of these. Gnarly Chaplain just came to the stream, but any chance of a sculpted version? Well, Lane, I think you were talking about that.
Yeah.
I think Lane's assessment is correct. The Wizard, Charlie the Unicorn, in the house with Max Rebo. Where's a Max Rebo? We need the Max Rebo band, Lane. Yeah. Fill me up on table 44. Lane, what's table 44, Lane? Like, do we remember what that one is?
As long as not the one I'm thinking of, then we'll be okay.
No, it's not that one. He must be talking about he must be talking about this one right here.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another.
At another version.
Another.
Ancient action figure. Another. And
doesn't that feel like that would be almost, as we mentioned a little bit, doesn't that feel like that would almost be the easiest win for Hot Toys? To just do, like, I know you might, because it's not that we're doing exactly the same thing, but doing a sculpted version, using this head sculpt and basically doing a episode 3 DarkSide Anakin specific version of it would be like the easiest win, because they literally don't have to do anything different practically than they did for this or the Artisan Anakin. They've already been making this stuff, the same outfit, same body. Now,
well, they don't.
If they could use non-pleather, that would be a good step up. But
Well, Lane,
that's
address
nothing.
this comment because I think
Yeah.
it goes exactly what you're talking about. With Clinton here, he says 2 of the 3 Artisan figures released have variants. That's like what you're saying. Again, what? More and more announcements, less production of those announcements, but what are they doing with these? They're capitalizing on the R&D. But I'm happy that they at least tweaked the head sculpt on this. Again,
Yeah,
I
and
can't
this is the perfect
stress.
one. This is the perfect one.
Yeah,
Sorry.
for sure. And SJC is in the house. Good. He feels for a good question that we were talking about earlier. I'm so behind on these comments, but again, everybody in here, keep putting it in. If I didn't get to it, put it back. Lane and I will pull it up, and Lane will remind me. It's kind of like we're driving this together, saying, "Aries, you got to pull this comment up." Anyway, SJC 360 says, "When was he ever DarkSide?" I know. Rise Darth Vader, exactly. Mike, we're going to talk about how much these are going to be as it comes up once we start going through these pictures. Look, there's a lot to talk about here. Low key, what is up to you? What's up back at you? Come on. So many in here. And going back up into this question right here. Clone Trooper says, Sideshow website going to have a meltdown. I really do think when this goes up, this is too low. So as we continue to say hi to everybody in here, we haven't gotten past the first
picture
yet.
You can see the stuff that comes with it.
Yeah, we haven't even got past the first picture yet, but let's blow it up a little bit. We can at least do that. Lane, I do think, are they going to be ready for this, to be honest with you? Meaning, are they going to be ready?
Well, I have a question. How many of the other figures half the time, how many of the other Artisan figures have they been ready for? Or not, like even before that?
Well, they haven't. They haven't been ready. But then everybody and their sister, their brother, their dog, their frog, their pet snail,
everything crashes. Even without one of this anticipation, other figures have crashed or people have run into problems. I mean, do you remember? I mean, now to be fair, it's much better than when they first started to try and do this stuff. Like they would just randomly put it up, and if you weren't there at the right time or something, you just were SOL for some of their exclusives. Or do you remember the destruction and breaking back when the Wonder Woman 100? Now that's before they got the Q system, and I think it's much better than
I do remember that, and wasn't able to to get it, and
because it was a disaster, because they didn't, the Q system, for its faults and its problems, is probably, it has worked much better. And not every figure who's been an exclusive where there could be a lineup has had issues. There have been times where everything runs right, but for this, I mean, there's going to be 10. There was one not too long ago, wasn't one of the Artisans or something, where they had just tons of thousands of people logging in trying to get into it and had all kinds of problems. Like earlier this year.
I mean, I could think everybody's going to try and get this, and my hope is that every scalper out there, a person that really doesn't want this and wants to resell it, I hope, the 13th skull, whatever you could do, 13th skull, to use your powers in, alternate dimensions to stop that from happening. Go. I hope everybody that wants this gets it. Because I think it's going to be insane. And there's going to be a lot of disappointed people with this. I think it goes back to, why the heck is this such a limited production? Good comment there, Clone Trooper, bringing this up on here. I mean, Lane, and welcome here, 1 Adam 12, trying to get to everybody in here. Why is it so limited? I mean, is there a reason why this is even less than the regular Anakin? I mean, they have the data. They know how much in demand the DarkSide Anakin is. Now they're labeling it correctly, but maybe they're going to still put out the
sneaky. Is my theory. Sneaky. They could be doing sneaky,
which I think they could be doing that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like maybe with that there's there's maybe the whole reason is because they do plan on putting out these sculpted versions, and that is why
Yeah.
it is so limited. Maybe that's the reason.
Actually, I think there are two reasons why it's
Go.
only 2,500. First, they're having to make this on top of the 3,000 they're making worldwide for the other Artisan Anakin in batches. I think they're doing smaller batches of those, so that's why it's like for us here to get people are going to take a bit. Yeah, why it's taking so long for the first two Artisan figures. It took a while for Joker, and people are still waiting for their Jack Sparrows. So I think production. I think they had to. I think that's one thing. It's because they're having to make 5,500 of similar figures using similar molds, similar material, all that kind of stuff. So they're making a lot of like what 80% about the same for these things. So that I think there's actually we're underestimating the larger number. Number two, they're having to have 1,500 of these ready to go for Japan. If they're all supposed to be available for Celebration. So they had to make a whole bunch of those in a short period of time. They had to be ready for a specific date.
Mm-hmm.
For that thing.
We're gonna pull that comment back up from Hot Toys Hotline in just a second because it's big.
Yeah.
So hang in there, Hot Toys Hotline. Good to have you in here, brother. And we're gonna
I think
pull
it's
up your
because
comment.
for this version, it plays and they had to make so many. First, they had to have at least 1,500 of these ready for a specific date. These have to be in our hands, boxed up, and QC'd by whatever, April 18th, 19th. So they had to be all ready to roll. At least 2/3, like over half of the ones they're making.
He says,
then,
well, wait, 10 Anakins, you crazy? I am not the Lane Kramer giveaway machine.
So now he's making fun of me too. Thanks, Connor. And I think the third reason just is it just because they're making 5,500 artisan figures of this guy in total. I think it's the total number. I think it's because they had to have at least 1,500 of this version ready to rock and roll for a specific couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the third thing is like kind of what you're talking about. They still want to kind of keep a demand for possibly a sculpted version, which as well. If you put out too many of if these are too available, and you're going to do that, even though obviously there'll still be a good number of people who might even want to go for a $300 version of the character or something.
No, I thought you brought up
But if they put out too many, that could affect what could be a more total number higher selling figure for them over the next 6 months or something. So I think all three of those things, it's mostly economic and production issues that I think why. I think it's just because
I agree with you.
I think it's a lot. It's because this guy, for 60% of his number, 55%, had to be ready. We have to have all these ready for a specific 2 or 3 day period. And
they're doing that, and they're making these now, even though the head sculpt is different. So let's. I'm changing the view here for a second so we can get back up. Hot Toys Hotlines, big comment here first. Good to see you as well. If you guys, Hot Toys Hotline puts out great stuff, so I definitely got to have him and Collecting Madness on here. Coming up on some 6.
Well, they've been smart enough to have me on. Of course, that's one of the that shows how smart they are.
I don't know if they should have us both on at the same time, right?
Yeah.
But I gotta have you guys on here.
My chalk the entire time. I don't know if I need that multiple times.
Make sure you guys subscribe to Connor's channel here. But this is the comment I want to put up from him, and thank you for putting it up, guys. I hate to bring the bad news, but I think Sideshow will get about 500 of these, 2,500 total worldwide. 1,500 are Japan exclusive copies, 1,000 more spread thinly among everywhere else. So, again, Lane, I think, going from what you just said as some of your explanation, I still just feel, even if they were going to do these sculpted versions and they were looking to kind of, kind of prime that pre-order pump, of, hey, the sculpted versions, and everybody's like, woo, woo, woo. And then everyone will go ahead that didn't get these and get the sculpted version of the regular one, or the sculpted version of, the DarkSide one. And maybe you're right. Maybe they call those, throwback, DarkSide or something like
or
that.
some mythos. That could
Or
be
some mythos thing.
or a comic name or whatever.
Well,
and
that's and that's another thing. But why so little, like he's saying? I mean, if it's going to be, and I agree, because you've got UK and you've got China, how are you going to spread, 1,000 between the rest of the markets? I agree with you, Connor. Hot Toys Hotline here. I think it's going to be, you have to give Sideshow at least 500. But you do have to wonder, is it possible that what Lane just said again about this being, talking about mythos, why couldn't they just give you this crazy freaking, let's pull it, let's go back to this screen now. Why couldn't they give you a mythos version of this Artisan Lane? Who's to say that there's not a third version of this? And is this what they call me?
They call him the Wizard.
Well,
I could tell you, I can absolutely see them doing a concept version of Anakin where it's like this again, and it has maybe ripped clothing, or maybe some ash from the lava, or some stuff, and they can, it has like a crazy thing to it in the background, and say it's kind of like that, like a mythos type, or kind of like that crazy battle damage Vader that's about to go on waitlist any minute. There actually could be a third version of this. I hate to say it. I mean, I'm kind of going back and forth where I think I'm with you that they're done, but I don't know. Maybe the whole reason it's limited is because they know they're going to throw another Artisan version on
for the 20th anniversary.
Not the Ahsoka show. They could do it Ahsoka one.
Or think about this. What I'll just say, because I gave my scenario where, and this could be applied to maybe a third Artisan or a sculpted version. But what if they did, like, instead of calling it a 2.0 or some DarkSide Anakin, what if they called it, and I'm saying just specifically like a lava base, or they have a similar to the droid base they had for the original DarkSide Anakin. What if they just had it? They could just name it. They could do Star Wars Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary. Like, what about Mustafar Showdown Anakin Skywalker? And they could use this head sculpt with the red eyes or regular eyes or whatever,
Or lava base.
Artisan, yeah. And it's an Artisan one, because think about for the other Artisans that, like the that Scarlet Witch that had the really just original base just for that version of the figure, as well as, I mean, there's a sculpted one too, but they could have an original base to make it a DX Artisan. But it's like, they can play with the naming where they can call it Anakin Skywalker Mustafar Showdown. Because so exactly what it's supposed to be. And then and the boxing for the DX is going to be like him standing on just use the movie, just use the figure and then pull out the old droid, and take a picture of it that figure standing on the droid. And that's like, part of the cover art and it's all, Mustafar and lava stuff for the artwork. Boom. There you go. It's a new release. Simple as that.
Preston says on here that queue will crash if 1,000 or less. Yeah, you're right, Preston. It's absolutely going to do that. Copper says, when is this up for sale? Again, Copper, we've been talking about this since the show, even though we're still on just the first picture. I think it's going to be any day. I think they'll have a coming soon. Sideshow will have. I'm not sure if they will put up the pre-order. I guess they could, because you're not going to get it in hand that day before Celebration. But I could say maybe they wait 9 days until the start of Celebration, then it goes up them. I'm sure you're going to be hearing soon. RG's in the house. It says, let the rat race begin. Um,
Do you think it could be maybe the week after, like where it would get not the coming soon, but maybe it goes up like the week after celebration's done at the end of the
Yep.
month for the other 1,000 possibly. So they're going to be a little bit probably coming to us.
well, Master Darcy says, I'm going to try and get this, but if I don't, I'm happy with the Artisan. No, me too.
Russell
Right
Doe
here,
Bailey the version.
what does Ryan say here? He says the key system and limited number of this figure is wrong and evil in a sense that there will be tons of people buying them up with bots that don't really care or appreciate it. You know, I hope the bots don't win on this.
Well,
Mike
hey,
is Latoris is in the house. What's going on, Mike? Always good to have you in here. And a hey, back at you. So I want to talk about this. This is the first secondary market figure that likely will hit 2,000, maybe even 2,250 figures. And you have to wonder, Charlie, if this
They
is what
call
they're
him the Wizard.
because I will tell you, Lane. So here's the thing. I have some data today that shows even with this announcement that the regular version has gone up. And the only explanation that I could think of is people saw, and let's talk about this, is the reason why I'm seeing that it went up even higher, over $1,200 today. Is it because as we look at these pictures here and pull this up on the screen, because they're like, wait a minute, it's not the same. It's not the same at all. There's teeth. It has shadow.
I think you might need to move me out of the way because I'm blocking part of his head.
No, it's okay. I'll just move him over a little bit. But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's see. So I think that for me, in my view, with me seeing the regular one right now starting to even go up higher, and I'll show you guys some stats on that'll kind of tell us where this one is going to go. I think because this one is not like, you know, they went the extra mile to change the head sculpt, which to me means more, Lane, than what they did with using Mandalorian armor with the General Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I feel like that's just a straight kit bash. They repainted that. They painted that a little red. They put up the same Obi-Wan head sculpt. Bada boom, bada bing. It's the same darn thing. And the thing with the Joker, Artisan Joker, is they kind of just used the Batman suit from Christian Bale and spray painted that. And honestly, that head sculpt is not as innovative as the DX because you can't remove the teeth to slip in the tongue version. So to me, that's almost like, in a way, a downgrade from the DX one. But with this is a straight up different head sculpt, Lane. And I think that's the reason why the regular Anakin, like we talked about this, that we really felt that one at the end of the day was going to be around $1,000 figure. But this one's even less. This one's 500 less. And I think that both of them are going to complement each other. But I with you, and to get your comments, Lane, on this, Charlie, I do think that this one is going to be $1,500. I think that's what it's going to go for in the secondary market. I really, really do. I think it's going to be, it could go up to 2,000, but I think that this one, Lane, is going to be a few hundred more, put it to you that way, than the regular Anakin. Give me your take.
Well, I think it'll always be a couple $100 more wherever they settle up eventually.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's 1,500 and like 1,100 or 1,200, or it's like 900 and 1,200 or whatever, it's always going to be a little bit more because it's a little bit more rare. And there's also the fact that there's going to be a little differentiation. Do you have the one, you know, to really obsessive collectors, do you have the one that's with the Japanese insert and who do not have the Japanese insert? You know, there's that too. There also might be a little bit of price difference long term, you know, for one or the other as well. you know, so that could also precipitate it a little bit too between regular Artisan Anakin and this version.
Yeah.
But I don't see it breaking 2,000 because first I would call anybody who spent 2,000 on a Hot Toys figure a moron. I'm just plain would do that because I think that's almost too much for big statue.
Well, you know where it could go 2,000 in the very beginning.
Yeah.
I really do think this is going to fall around $1,500. I really, really do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, 13 to 15. So maybe in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you.
Well, to show how much people are interested in this figure, I saw someone on the BSTs who was offering to trade their Jedha Patrol Stormtrooper 2-pack, which is one of the most expensive 2-packs that there is. You know, that's still been one of the, slightly older, still one of the most expensive figures.
Yeah, no, that goes for anywhere between that 2-pack is still around $1,000. 700 to 1,000.
Trying to trade that 2-pack, which is a very popular one, for just direct trade for the regular Artisan Anakin. And I mean that's a big thing for a well-established figure on the secondary market that keeps its value. Where I know we think that this Anakin is going to stay super high, but we don't know. We can't say 100% because it's so new. It will here in the short term, but we can't say 100%. This is like one set of and it's 2 figures versus 1, even though it is Anakin and stuff, where you have a proven commodity. This is $800, like $900 to $1,200 that you will make from this 2 set for years, guys, years. It's been that way, and then want to switch it out. So, how people want it. Someone's willing to get rid of something they know is worth a lot of money to try and get that Anakin figure.
Well, and let's, right now, some of this that's going up, and everybody, you're watching the market show live, and I'm trying to pull some of these, pull these up on the screen. So here's bidding right now. So, and this goes right into where we're talking about the new Darth Vader Artisan DX variant, if you will, from Hot Toys. It's just limited to a ridiculously low 2,500 pieces. Are you kidding me? But with the regular Anakin, with that news, it is starting to even rise a little bit more. This is an auction right now from a seller with 132 feedback. And wait for it, everyone. Wait for it. Oh, 100% positive. Okay, so this blows away your Jedha Patrol 2-pack right now. Already $1,100 with 7 bids at just under 5 days to go, when you're seeing a straight auction for this, Lane Kramer. Absolutely insane. And I wanted to pull up an auction, and this is in the United States. This blows away any of the 2-packs. So this is going for mega bucks. Who knows where this is going to land, Lane, when it's over?
Yeah, I remember seeing this when it was only 900.
Yeah, well, it continues to go up. 232 viewed in the last 24 hours. So that should give you an indication on where this DarkSide Anakin is going to go. But when I pull up even more of these as we go on, there is just so many of these to pull up.
And now it does make me wonder how many of those DarkSides are going to pop up.
Well, again,
in the next few days.
Again, I put this up earlier before, again, Toys for Adults completely got out of stock. You want to go ahead and even go to the Toys for Adults website. They've got no more. It's not there. You can't get it. It's completely sold out. They're selling it here, 8,480 Hong Kong. Continuing to go on to some of these here as I pull them up. to the screen. This listing sold for $1,200 there. That one was more from a week ago. See that going even
Before we
higher
even knew
now.
about these Pistons.
What's that? In 4 carts is this one now with 4 sold from New Toy Zone at $1,185 in 4 freaking carts. Lane again pulling this up from Tim Cent, Toys buying agent. On here, you can see that this is still out of stock, not available. And I think if you put up Toys Ensemble, they don't even have a price on it anymore.
It's sold out, yeah.
Yeah, completely sold out. Doesn't even have a price on it. So let's go back to putting the Anakin back up on the screen here for us. But here's the thing. I think that this one is going to be very, very high. A very, very high, probably the most sought out after figure in the history of 6-scale collecting. And it doesn't help as I pull this back up. And I know we talked about this in the beginning, but we got a lot more in here now as we go. And I'm going to kind of blow this up a little bit. Can we see it on the screen, Lane, the paragraph there?
Yep.
Okay, so let's look at that middle paragraph, and I'm going to read it to you. We know that Anakin Skywalker is a must-have for your Star Wars 6-scale collection. But today's Darth Vader, trademarks at the parentheses, in particular, in Artisan Edition, and as a Sith apprentice, goes 2 steps further to upgrade your Star Wars display with the most anticipated figure ever. And here's where I'm baffled, and I'm bringing this up. I'd love to get more of your perspectives in the chat. Why, in God's name, would you advertise this as the most anticipated figure ever? And they didn't just put that in there because they just let some guy or gal just throw up some marketing content and throw this up there without approval. They damn well know, Lane, that this is one of the most anticipated. They're saying it's the Grail, it's the GOAT, it's the big enchilada, it's the figure. It's freaking Darth Vader. Before he got burnt to a crisp, and there's only 2,500 pieces. So I'm going to go back to this, Lane. All your theories about they're going to give you sculpted versions. They may call him DarkSide Anakin. They may give you, other people are saying an Ahsoka version. They may do a Mythos version. They may do comic version. But this version right here is the most anticipated figure ever. So with this exclusive, one time only, forever, Lane, forever, ever, and ever, limited to 2,500 pieces. Why is it 2,500 and you're advertising it like that?
Because you're bananas. I honestly would say, why couldn't they just do 3,000 like the other one? But they're trying to make this a little bit more exclusive than the other one.
Yeah, and I feel like that again.
Do you remember at all or if we have anybody in chat, originally when they came out, the original Anakin light side and the dark side Anakin from Revenge of the Sith, was there a similar thing where was there a limited number put on the dark side Anakin? This might be well before the era where they would ever do, where we would know any numbers for anything. But did they make more of the light side Anakin than that dark side Anakin back in the day? I'd be interested to know that if they marketed it at all with number wise. I don't think they did.
No, they didn't. They didn't. No. And you saw how much, and that's a good point. You saw how much that went for the dark side Anakin and the regular Anakin without numbered, having how many numbers it is. So you have to ask yourself what this one would do. But this is absolutely insane. I think it creates a lot of buzz for sure.
I think Big Dog Pound makes a good kind of parallel for with this, his latest comment. He made the comment, this brings back memories when he used to collect sneakers. Because, Sneakers has done like Nike and stuff, has done this kind of thing for special variant editions and stuff for their shoes, which is obviously something maybe a little bit more useful for us since we wear them on our feet. But this gives him the FOMO anxiety. That part of the sentence right there, the FOMO anxiety. Everybody wants to hit on this Darth Vader. This is helping create FOMO, not just for us here at home, but this is also for all the people who are coming to the Japanese event. They want to make sure that hey, this is how many that we're going to have at the event, because they want to sell all 1,500 of those out.
Oh, they will, and they will.
I know, but I'm just saying that's part of the thing here too. They're making sure everybody who knows is coming to this. We've got this, but this is super limited number. So if you want it, you got to make sure you're here to pick it up. They're making sure that they're part of that FOMO for people who are coming to the event. They're making sure when they come in, they come up with 1,500. When they leave, they have 0. They're making sure of that. So this is for us, kind of the home collector, but that is also for all the people that are going to the event, because they want to make sure that they are not having to pack any others of that figure up when they go home.
Well, and I agree with Big Dog Pat. It's giving me figure anxiety, and I need more coffee.
Of course I want a latte. I love the way you make them.
Yeah,
kind of like he's got a lot of anxiety right there. That's pretty good there, Mr. Lane Kramer.
Yeah, but I think Dog Pound makes a great parallel for a different type, not something we always think of collectible, but sneakers, same kind of thing.
Yeah,
related to it, puts it in perfect contrast. And then I think he summed it up there. It's FOMO for us, the home collector, but it's also to create FOMO for the people coming to the event to need to know that, hey, I need to go pick this up. Like, I think they're doing it perfect market, and then they're going to see FOMO for that, but they're going to see the FOMO. Oh, hey, wow, that's a completely new Darth Maul, that I've never seen before. That's going to help them sell some of those other figures that they're going to have, that Galen Erso and stuff, because people are like, if I'm picking this up, oh man, that's exclusive, I need to pick that one up too.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. And everybody, you are watching the Market Show live here with the Dark Jedi and my buddy Lane Kramer. And listen, I don't go live during the week very, very often, but for this, you have to wonder if I spilled my coffee. And I say yes. So you can always expect, no matter what day of the week it is, if they're going to drop something like this, you're going to see the Dark Jedi live for sure, hopefully. And let's talk about the way this looks, though. That's the other thing that people are missing. This doesn't look like Tony Stank. This doesn't look like, this is badass. Especially because they kind of tweaked. I love it that they're getting to these molds now, because it really is the same mold. They're just able to kind of do a little bit of retooling and not have to invest so much into a brand new mold. I really think that that's what's going on here. But it's different just enough. You can see the teeth. There's a little bit of manipulation, with the cheeks and the hair there. And I tell you what, the scowl, the look, he looks evil and mean as hell. Can you even imagine getting this Lane and being able to have the rolling eyes function? I mean, this is incredible detail here. And I'm wondering, is this, I think these are done and made. So is this actually, I got to ask you, what do you think of the way this looks? I think it is out freaking standing. But I think that this is done already. So I'm not even sure this is a prototype. I'm wondering if this is the final version. They're not going to have these in freaking 10 days, and they're producing it right now. Is it possible, Lane, that this is the actual product?
It's got to be close, because it'll probably be next week, like next Monday or Tuesday or something like that. We'll probably get the official blogger, more stylized photos and everything. But I mean, this has to be close, unless these photos are much older, for maybe a few months ago, and then they're doing some new ones where maybe there was some. Yeah, well, OG fan, you're not wrong, and yeah, and Charlie, the unicorn, I got the email where you were talking about BBTS with the tariff too. I had that open. I opened it like literally when we were about to get started. I haven't had any chance to look at it, read it yet.
Spice Runner's on the train now, heading to Tokyo Celebration. This Anakin is coming home. Listen, Spice Runner, baby. Pick me up one, dude.
Yeah. One here too, please. I'll send you. I know it's 446.92. I think at least as of yesterday night was the exchange rate.
If you pick Lane and I up one, we'll sit you at table 5 with Groke.
We promised you'll have some dancing slave Leia bikini, metal bikini, dancing girls to keep you company at least for 1 hour.
Yeah, but Lane, I think this is incredible, and I think it's close to it or the final product already, because there's no reason to prototype this.
I will say it really does look like they took, like some people were doing, taking the Darth Maul Sith eyes out of that figure.
Well, that's exactly what they did. Isn't that what they did?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean,
but what really sells that, unlike the regular Anakin, it's a minor thing, but I think what really sells this look is because the outfit is the same. Like, it's exactly the same. This is kind of a weird setup, that plastic thing to attach.
Is it
I'm fairly certain that is plastic.
Okay.
That feels like the Hot Toys play. It's just too plastic.
It'd be great if that was like some type of metal. That would be like shit. Wonderful.
Sorry, this is Hot Toys, man. That's probably plastic.
Well, honestly, they could have just left it off if they would have made the freaking outfit leather.
Yeah. But would you mind rolling back up just for a second?
Yeah.
Just so the head sculpt real quick. See, but don't pan it in. I think this shows it up well. Where, like, let's say for your Artisan Anakin, if you had taken out of one of your Darth Mauls and stuck the eyes in there, where you would definitely get that eye look. However, it's such a tiny thing. But what I think really helps sell the DarkSide, the Darth Vader to this particular figure is just that little eyeshadow, like you can see, like almost like football player eyeshadow that's under his eyes, which is supposed to show that corruption. Like, to me, that is what helps make the total difference for this figure. It's such a tiny thing, but to me, this sells the dark side aspect of this, even though they literally could have just taken some eyeliner stuff and gone,
oh yeah,
and that's it.
Oh yeah.
But I think for this figure, that's what sells this, and really, I feel the difference. Even if you did like that customization to your regular Artisan Anakin, I don't think it would quite sell it. It doesn't sell it quite like this does. With just that little bit, just a little bit of makeup makes all the difference.
Oh, it does. I mean, this looks magical. It looks insane.
Eyeliner. Okay.
The eyeliner. I do like this. I'm curious, what this actual apparatus is made out of.
Is that maybe the only thing you wish they had done with this one? Just because they did make this more recently, is because some of their more recent figures that they've done, like that Star Killer, where they were using a nylon suit or something, like, because they didn't start making this one the same time they originally showed.
I'm disappointed they didn't make it leather for both of these, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I do think that there's a particular reason why they didn't. I don't necessarily believe it's all about price point, because they've surprised us adding leather to some of the other ones. I really do think, and the more I'm thinking about it here, the more I'm sucking down the wizard juice and hanging out with you all, celebrating this and contemplating the impact of it just having 2,500 pieces. I do really think the most shocking thing about this is why they didn't give us lava, why they didn't give us a lava base with the first one that was called DarkSide Anakin. You got the Scarlet Witch that's going to be coming out any month here with Elizabeth Olsen, that they already have some R&D into, with the cool fire effect on the bottom, and I was bringing up in the last show. So you do have to ask yourself, is it because, like you were talking about, with a Mythos version, We can't sit here anymore, Lane, and say that, they're not going to put out a concept version of Anakin Darth Vader. They're not going to put out a comic version or a concept of him battling Obi-Wan from Revenge of the Sith, but off camera, an idea that some dude or some dudette had of his hair waving and him having his cape in some weird form, and do like the Vader. And maybe that is where they want to give you the lava base. And is it possible that's why they gave you this base, which is kind of weird for this?
Hey, we can't say that they wouldn't necessarily, like, if they gave us just one release for Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary, is that they just do some kind of crazy $900 diorama 2-pack figure thing of the, like, from the famous scene from the some of the artwork where Anakin and him are struggling with each other, like a diorama base of that base and it's a Anakin Artisan and Obi-Wan Artisan that you can put together on that base, like when they would be gripping each other and struggling with each other, and they do a huge 2-pack like that for like $900,000, and that's your and they redo it all over again. Well, I mean, the likelihood 5%, but I couldn't say, like, hey, if they did that as the one thing, would people not buy it? I'm like, probably not like 10,000, but probably they could sell 5,000 to 6,000.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And look at the character of just some of these different angles and moving the eyes, up to the upper right corner.
They did a good job, I think, with attitude. These figures. Like, they did a nice job with these pictures. I think.
They did. I mean, just look at that. They're actually even changing they kind of moved the hair a little bit. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize. I have, the Lord of the Rings in arts that are out, so far. And I have all the Artisans that Hot Toys has put out thus far, and I could tell you the hair is meant very carefully to be manipulated a little bit. You could kind of move the hair and shape this hair, of course, carefully, like you can a wired cape. You can kind of spread that hair all the way out. You can put it all the way in, and you can create, just like moving the eyes. I mean, the reason the purrs are in there is so that you can move it. I mean, really. And I've done that. You can see the hair is different here than basically it was right there. They're playing with it right here. It's more tucked in that, regard in the wind. Now this is more where it's kind of, like that, Lane. And the things that you can do with this particular figure, like, just look at that. I don't like it's that fancy of a background. I like where they're just kind of keeping it straight like this. And let's look at everything that that they're saying this is going to come with here. This is sick, dude. Look at the different looks that you can go here. You even see on the left. You see,
yeah.
You see on the left, Lane, how the hair is tucked in, but then on the right, it's kind of spread out.
Yeah. No, they did. They did a really nice job with all the photoing for this and everything, the layout.
Well, and I think that's another thing we need to talk about. I think it's a very nice job because they don't have a volcano in the background. It's just a plain background here with this. I hate sometimes with those blogger photos where they try to make it look too cute. Sometimes the figure, usually with my reviews, it's basically you're looking at my table or my collection in the background or a piece of, dirty sheetrock. And that way you see the figure for what it is. Just show me what the damn thing looks like.
Yep.
Just show me what it looks like.
I doubt the light up will look as good, though.
Yeah, don't even get me going.
No, one thing, just for anybody who has not looked at all of this, but from the breakdown for this figure, this one is also coming with Anakin's blue lightsaber and everything as his because this is the Vader lightsaber. He didn't originally get till he actually was.
Well, I wonder if that's an error, Lane, because I'm looking at this here, and I'm going to even shorten it up. because they say that it comes with it in the description, but it doesn't
Mhm.
have it in here that it's coming with it. So I'm wondering if they just made a mistake. Do you see how
That'd
it's
be
not in here?
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting because originally I didn't think it did that. You know, because it didn't come with that. That's why I was thinking it more. You know, was kind of like a mythos or concept style figure because it didn't have at least his original lightsaber. Um, but the thing is, I'm not worried too much because we'll find out next week. People are going to get it in hand next week.
We'll
and
find out
they'll let
next
us know.
week. Let's get to some of these comments, and you guys are watching the Market Show Live, a very special edition with the Dark Jedi. My compadre Lane Kramer here had to go live. This is an epic day for us collectors and Hot Toys coming out with this long predicted DarkSide Anakin, now dubbed accurately as Darth Vader, and we talked about that. But putting up some of these comments in here, and Core, welcome in here. Core's 2K says, I hope I get this, and good luck to everyone who's going for this. I still think we will get a sculpted for both versions for the anniversary. And I say yes. And as Lane pointed out before, he mentioned that you have to wonder, Cores, if this is what
They call
you,
him
baby.
the Wizard.
And putting this up from Dubs the Great says, not a fan of the base. They're giving though. I agree. I mean, I think it's okay. Should have been the droid base. I think they're saving that.
I think they're trying to keep that maybe exclusive to the old Dark Side Anakin.
Yeah, and maybe do like something. Again, they're working on tooling for the Scarlet Witch, which someone put in the chat isn't, is delayed till August, but that's still, I mean, what? It's April. It's going to be May, June, July. That's 3 months. They probably have some of that already done. They could be planning it. But no, I totally agree. I totally agree. For sure. And that's what Pedro put in here, that Scarlet Witch is delayed. Spice Runner, yeah, that would be a riot if this is cardboard.
Yeah,
if this is cardboard, I mean, if they do that, I mean, it's even more of this from Hot Toys.
As we were talking about, then people are willing to pay who are going for in Japan are willing to spend $450 to get cardboard as part of their thing. Well, you remember if you remember, the Doc Brown from first Back to the Future had the special edition with that plutonium thing, and that was just a stupid piece of cardboard that was a piece of garbage. Pretty much.
This is a funny Spice Runner. I could pick up Anakin for anyone for $5K, and I'll get Hayden's signature on the box for you. Let me know, suckers.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Let's go ahead and play this one.
That happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
That's what people are going to be saying about this figure. Go back to the queue. Why? When? It's on there. Wait, you're 1,000. No, you're 50. You're going to get it. I'm number 500. Wait, it readjust. Can you even imagine if they're limited to 500, like Hot Toys Hotline was saying earlier, Connor, and then you pull 501? The heartache, the pain, Lane, that would go with this. I mean,
yeah,
that would be.
Could you imagine if you could get that box for that Dark Side Anakin signed by Hayden Christensen, though? That would be cool.
Yes.
I can't lie. That would be super cool.
That would be
too bad
super
it's
cool.
at the thing because I'd like to get the base. Because I would probably never use the base with the figure, but if I could get the base signed, that circular base signed by Hayden, that would be awesome. I would love that.
So Eric actually asks, it's a good question. If Hot Toys makes Revenge of the Sith version, Artisan, again, one more dark side, will this version still be hot? Well, I think, Eric, they already gave you, if they give you, I think you're talking about the sculpted versions, because I think, as far as Revenge of the Sith Artisan, that's it. And Revenge of the Sith Artisan, this one, that's it. But if they make the sculpted versions, does that affect this? No. I think it actually adds to this because again, it's like, hey, we're going to give you more. Here's for everybody that once sculpted and missed out on this, or really didn't want the hair, or for whatever the reason. And there's multiple and various reasons. Again, it kind of re-emphasizes that it's exclusive, just like that. We're seeing, and I pulled it up earlier, some of the data we're starting to see, and it was insane as it was. The regular DX34, how hot that is right now, and starting to gain even more traction with this announcement, possibly. And I think it's because it's different and it's not exactly a kit pash, and really where it counts in the head sculpt, which is really where it counts with this. People are complaining, always complain left and right about pleather, but they're still going to be paying, like we talked about earlier, at the end of the day, $1,500 about. I think that this one's gonna average, and here's the other reason why it's gonna average that at the end of the day. So that'll answer your question. But when you talk about price lane, here's the thing: the the Wonder Woman, okay, which was limited to 1,500 pieces, okay. That one goes continually for anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 all the time. As a matter of fact, without even a best offer, just about a month and a half ago, Hawk Wars Toys Ray sold one for over $1,100, not including shipping, not including taxes, no best offer on there, and that's Wonder Woman 1,500. But I think that this DarkSide Anakin, even though it's 1,000 more, it's just 2,500. I think the pull on the DarkSide Anakin may be even stronger than that. If she's going for that, could this go for 1,500? It's very limited. I really believe it could, Lane.
Yeah, no, it's going to be in the same ballpark going forward as both Artisan Anakins for a while are going to be in the same ballpark over $1,000. Like that they are both going to be that way. Now, the one concern I have for this figure specifically is because there have been some QC problems with the Artisan other figures, because they may have started this one much later than the original Artisan Anakin. Like we discussed, it had to be ready for some specific dates. Could this version have some QC problems because they maybe had to do it in a relatively quick amount of time? That might be my only concern with it from a QC standpoint. I don't expect anything like that, though. But I'm just saying, just because there has been reported some issues here and there with some of the Artisan from Hot Toys so far, this one, because it might have been done in a relatively short period of time, could have possibly run into some issues.
Well, I think so.
The likelihood, though, I think is minimal. But
I think it's minimal. And I think what people got to remember with these, it'll be brought to light sooner.
Yeah.
When you have limited 3,000, 2,500 pieces, these Artisan figures and these exclusives, especially with the intricate hair, because anytime you're having production, you're going to have a thing that they call some standard deviation, no matter how hard they try. What I think that they need, so I think it's going to stand out more. Oh, look, there's a piece here that's missing, or there's that spot, with the rooting or this or that. That's going to happen. But, then again, you see some of the reviews like mine, like Justin's, like this one and that one, and there's no issues. Why? Because there is going to be some deviation. What I think they should do, Lane, and we brought this up earlier, is have some safety stock that they're never going to sell. Maybe they make 15 to 25 or some number, and they're like, look, this is for people that really they're the victim of that standard deviation, and we're able to ship them a new copy. And even if it's perfect and there's not one that's a problem or one that anyone returns, you just keep that in your product archives as a company as something you put out with, and you've got things to show in the future. But I think that they should do that, Lane. I really, really do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree.
Real quickly here, so we're going to go and we're going to see this DarkSide Anakin, or is my version better, on 6scalecantina.com. If you don't have 6scalecantina.com bookmarked, you just may want to consider doing so. It has a lot of cool stuff on here, including the market chart, which is under construction. A lot of hard work. You can see it's coming mixed soon, baby. You can check this out on here. You also got a preview of Ancient Action Figures Season 2. So you can come in here. You can see the whole cast. Reverend Possible, which I think maybe is Lane's favorite character. I don't know. The Inner Cowboy, Dr. Wonder, Captain Crunch, Ares, the 13th Skull. We've got more. You can check that out at sixscalecantina.com. But you can see right here with the Crystal Ball power rankings that now, like Clone Commander Wolf, and he's off the list and had a check mark. Look what has a check mark at number 1. The DarkSide Anakin, the number 1 voted figure that everyone thought they were going to come out with next, is now checked off, Lane. This one is done. And you have to wonder, I'm going to go with this here as, I try to pull this up onto the screen. But we have a couple of other figures we got to talk about as we close out here with this. I think we're talking all about how they can capitalize to get our money. We're talking all about how they could capitalize to, continue to do this all the way to the. If you're going to have some collectors that are going to invest this kind of money in this type of figure, who are the 2 characters, Lane, that you would want to have next? And they already have a relatively same age. Okay, there's not much of an age difference between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. You got Padme in there from the end of that movie in her fighting white outfit. And they can go ahead and say, here's an Amidala, just like Scarlet Witch, just like Black Widow. And they could say, here you go. And I could tell you what, this is the version of her right before Anakin was, had the altercation.
Became barbecue man.
In Barbecue. This is the outfit she was in. So you have to ask yourself, could we be getting Padme with this? Because Hot Toys knows, hey, if they're buying this, even if they didn't want, people will be like, I gotta have this Padme to put next.
There's no chance they would make that. Remember, she's 9 months pregnant.
Right, but in this outfit, they did a really good job where they kind of disguised.
I know. I'm just saying. I don't.
Look, I need the listen, and here's I was going to say I need a clip. I think I have the clip for you, and here's this one, Lane. Now, this one you think they are coming out with?
I could this. I think if they were going to do, because we haven't had an artisan. We haven't had a new artisan figure, completely new artisan figure from Star Wars this year. So I think this Obi-Wan, plus they really need to update the head sculpt from the original. That this guy, this feels like the guy who could be the art. Now, I admit I have no specific basis for that, but I just feel like this guy is. If they're going to do an artisan for like Revenge of the Sith or something, this is the guy.
Well, again, I think I totally agree. And with this one, and I actually think it's going to be artisan. I agree with you. Because I think they'll give you sculpted, but I think they're going to have an artisan for those that want to pair it with the artisan Anakin. Do
you think the only thing that could maybe stop them from doing artisan on this Obi-Wan is because of the goatee?
No, I actually think they'll sculpt it. That's my prediction. I think they're going to give you the hair and they're going to sculpt the goatee, which is going to be interesting for me. But they may do it. They may surprise us. I don't think his goatee. I don't know. We thought in the beginning that hair had needed to be long with Hot Toys, but they're showing with the Tom Holland Spider-Man and with the Oscar Isaac Moon Knight, and that's off the table. So they may do it.
Because
they're definitely going to do it with this guy. This is for sure. They're going to give you the beard here.
Yeah, that's a lot more hair I'd have to deal with.
But Lane, I have to tell you, I really think they're going to do this. I think they're going to do some version of her, because how many versions? She wore like 10 different freaking outfits. in revenge. I like, seriously, she had one, you know, she had the blue gown and then the brown gown and then the dark brown gown with a thing that goes over.
The problem is all her iconic image, real iconic outfits were in the first two movies of the three. When most people think of Amidala, there's like the one that we got for Attack of the Clones, and then her younger queen outfits from Phantom Menace.
Listen,
but you're right; they might have something. I'm not.
That's
sure.
right, because I was going to say this to you.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
That's this. I'm sorry for disagreeing.
Lane, what are the chances we get all these admirals and generals around?
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Yularen, and it is funny. The one thing I will give Disney sometimes credit for, and some of the creators, is like how they took the guy in the white officer outfit just for the right there of that council. How they managed to take that guy who was like in that one scene, and then created. Yeah, I did. I usually choke on my aspirations. But they managed to like take that guy and make him an entire original character from Clone Wars and give him an entire background and an entire career up to that point where he blew up on the Death Star. It's crazy.
This is where Lane chokes with this.
Fulfill your destiny.
Lane, we've went 2 hours. And I think that again, I had to go live. I think there's another stream starting, right? It's probably doesn't say what with Lail happened on Wednesdays sometime, probably 9 or 9:30. So, respect to that. I'm going to go, but this has been fun. A couple of hours, had to go live here.
Bro, we got 2 hours out of one figure. That's how big that Anakin is, and just with the secondary market and everything that deals with what you normally look at on a weekly basis, and with your videos and stuff, that just one figure you were able to take 2 hours about. If that does not show, and we have had up to 75, 80 people in here hanging out with us at various points throughout this 2 hours, the power of the dark side.
It really does.
Of Lord Vader, and not even maybe the most iconic look to Lord Vader, but the power of Lord Vader is supreme. Doesn't matter what look it is.
I think we have a special message before we close from someone.
Well, howdy, partners. This is the In-Art Cowboy. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to 6 Scale Cantina for Aries. Thanks for watching, baby.
I really didn't think we'd hear from the In-Art Cowboy during an Anakin Hot Toy stream, but I think the In-Art Cowboy is all in.
He's jealous of all the other wool hair you're talking about, sir.
What are the chances, Lane, as we close, that any of those ancient action figures? Do you think Hot Toys watches, aware of these characters, ancient action figure theorists, and could they give us an In-Art Cowboy, or maybe even a Dr. Wonder?
I think that the In-Art Hot Toys wizard has a much better chance, since he can be anybody at any time.
Lane, this has been fun. I know we got to take off. Listen, we've been over 2 hours here, so I'm going to call it. We don't always drink whatever it is, out. But when we do it right here
on the 6 Scale Cantina.
On the 6 Scale Cantina. All right, everybody, stay thirsty. This is a lot of fun. Do I got the ending? The outro's right here.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Stay thirsty, my friends.